After their first attempt was blocked by the courts, the Trump administration came up with a new executive order restricting entry into the U.S. from 6 predominantly Muslim countries, and the revised order curbs the numbers of refugees allowed in as well. But with us to go in depth on this new order is Florida A&M law professor Leroy Purnell and Rasha Mubarak with the Council on American Islamic Relations. Thanks for joining us today. So the administration seems to have waited to develop this until they were rolling out this new plan and really come up with what they see as a different plan that will pass by the courts. Professor, I'll start with you. Do you think that this is going to get approved by the courts in your view?
Well, I think that a lot of the questions that people had with the first executive order, they still have. So I think we'll probably see those same issues raised again. Basically, the only difference between this order and the first order, with the first order, you had a fair amount of chaos regarding people who were in transit, who were legitimately already approved to come into the country that were held up. All this order does is attempt to somehow eliminate them from the focus. But the central questions of targeting citizens of these countries, and predominantly Muslim countries, that is still the challenge, and I think that's probably why Hawaii has already indicated it's taking legal action.
So you think it's going to run into just the same legal problems, basically?
I think you'll see the same challenges. Okay,
and Rasha, in your view?
Absolutely. I mean, this is sadly the same, bigotry that we're seeing from the first executive order. We have to remember, it's all about intent. The intention remains the same. The then candidate, Trump, actually, when he first commissioned it to Mayor Giuliani, he wanted to legalize a Muslim ban and how to strategize and make that happen. And then as president, he tried to make that legally muster, and it failed. And we are hoping that the judicial Supreme Courts do the same.
CAIR filed, as a federal lawsuit against the first version of the ban just a couple of months ago. Tell me about the bigger picture. Expand a little bit more. What's at the heart of this for you?
Absolutely. CAIR-Florida, our executive director, is one of over 20 plaintiffs of that anti-ban lawsuit. So for us, the bigger picture is this anti-Islamic rhetoric that began in the presidential elections. Islamophobia is up by 500%. That's the highest it's ever been in its documentation history. The hate crimes, the hate incidents, they're real. And we have to remember that America was built on the backs of immigrants. Of the 750,000 refugees that came in post 9/11, only 2 of them were opposed to any kind of terrorist threat outside the country. So kind of not allowing this kind of hate message, because this hate message actually gives people with so much bigotry inside of them the green light to harm others. And to harm others is not just the Muslims or people that are identified or misidentified as Muslims, but really our national security that he claims to protect.
Yeah, Professor, I want to wrap with you and just ask you about that security. By including all refugees, can they still make this case to not discriminate against Muslims? Is there any sort of case or merit to the new rollout?
I don't see where it's very different from the old rollout. The notion that individuals who are Muslim pose more of a threat than other individuals, which is the de facto position, in essence, being taken by targeting these countries, is just not supported by documentation. One of the things that the order tries to do to justify itself is to compare the United States to Europe. Well, the United States is not Europe. No. And the incidents and where those threats came from in Europe is not the United States history. And I think one of the legal questions is going to be the justification for the order and the fact-specific history. And this order is thin on those facts.
Thank you both so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.